We begin the second season in Winterfell, where winter is soon approaching, and the local soldiers are getting paid in massive crack rocks, except this guy who gets a lump of coal. Elsewhere, Rhaenyra is sad, presumably because she had bought Lucerys some early birthday gifts, and now she's past the return by date. The hooker is brought to Daemon, who is pissed that they kind of fixed this character's accent and he can't make fun of it anymore. Daemon sneaks into King's Landing wearing his up-to-no-good cloak and buys his way into the city with a bag of donut holes. A bribe this guard called the Mound, a distant cousin of the Mountain, can't resist. Out of nowhere, we get the most brutal scene in the history of Game of Thrones.
What did the bad man do?
He took him with his foot and he kicked him. That's what he did.
They take her necklace and then begin sawing off Jaehaerys' 2-year-old head. And Helena's like, "No, my necklace," before grabbing her daughter and making a calm exit. Otto tells Aegon to not let his son's decapitation get to his head, and Aegon doesn't appreciate the phrasing. Alicent visits Helena and says she wants to talk about what Helena saw last night, and Helena's like, "Oh, right. Here's a towel to wipe off with." The small folk toss potpourri at the ladies, as they call them stinky bitches, and one woman faints from the smell. The knights try and get the kid's head to pop off because it would gain more sympathy from the small folk, and one lucky peasant would get to go home with a souvenir. Helena sees her brother, husband, baby daddy like it's an Alabama picnic and keeps on moving. Cole wonders if banging Alicent is worth a dead kid. And then he thinks to himself, yes, but how many dead kids? And he tries to come up with a number. Before he leaves, Alicent wants to confess her sins to her father, but he says, "I have a nose. You don't need to tell me, stank-ass hoe." Rhaenyra got a 2 for the price of 1 deal on a burial plot, so she chucks Sir Eric and Sir Arik down there, and reflects on her great savings. Rhaenys advises Rhaenyra that Alicent may be willing to make peace, and that she should try and reach Alicent and kiss and make out. Up. He finds one guard and plays Got Your Nose with him, leading Sir Simon Strong to kneel before the almighty Got Your Nose champion. Rhaenyra sits in on her war council, and this advisor just did a few lines in the bathroom, and he's feeling brilliant, suggesting that Rhaenyra should just fucking take all her dragons, fucking put them together or something, make one big dragon and call it fucking Dragoness Prime or some shit. That'd be fucking awesome, man. Yeah! While that guy sits there grinding his teeth, the rest of the advisors say, "Rhaenyra, sweetheart, why don't you go iron some sandwiches in Pentos for a while, and let us men do the war?" With the kids gone, Rhaenyra finally has all the toys to herself. Baela spots them down below, and she and Moondancer swoop down to buzz the high tower. She sneaks in as a naughty nun and follows Alicent into the Sept, where she says,
"Surprise, motherfucker!"
As for Alicent,
it was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
Cole makes a proclamation to his men, telling him that he's sick of this meme culture that's taken over his army, and the next guy who makes a Hawk Tuah joke is getting his fucking head cut off. And apparently he's true to his word. She explains the history of Harrenhal, I think. I don't speak Leprechaun, so I can't say for sure. Rhaenyra returns from her 4-day vacay, and Jace tells his mom that her sudden, prolonged absence was unacceptable and bullshit. There were loud thunderstorms, and no one was here to calm him down and tuck him in. Aegon is flying shit-faced drunk across the 7 kingdoms, and the battle for Rook's Rest begins. Aemond and Vhagar are preparing to join the battle when Aegon blows right past the dragon under the influence checkpoint. Vhagar and Aemond enter the fray, and there seems to be something wrong with Aemond's targeting computer.
You switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm all right.
You got it!
The two behemoths collide and begin a death spiral, with Vhagar coming down for a Boeing-style landing. But the old girl gets up and takes the time to pat some of the soldiers on the back for a job well done. And Alicent is like, Aemond is taller than I remember. Then she looks down at his dagger. He says, "You're a woman. You can't do war because you're the gentler sex." And she's like, "I'll show you gentle sex." And everyone at the table is like,
I'm very aroused.
She asks what they would have her do. And there's a long silence before someone says, "The laundry?" Rhaenyra sends her lead advisor to Harrenhal to meet with Daemon, asking him to give Daemon her love when he sees her husband. And before he leaves, he turns back and is like, "You mean just words and stuff, right? Nothing physical?" One attendant braids Rhaenyra's hair, another heads into the enemy's lair. Sir Alfred rides a swift mare. Corlys looks at his new flare. Aemond gazes at his new chair, and Helaena guilt-trips the new heir. Alicent is being disruptive during class, whispering little jokes while Aemond's eye patch is turned toward the room. Corlys is admiring his new pin when Rhaenyra comes in and sees it and is like, shit, did I leave that in the box I gave him? And she decides to just play it cool and go with it. A sand farmer finds a ship sent by Queen Rhaenyra packed to the gills with cookies and cream pies, with many more on the horizon, sponsored by Ships Ahoy. Alicent tries to spend some time with Aegon, but she gets gas when she tries to care about others.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So she takes the opportunity to talk his ear off, not getting the hint when he tries to walk away 4 times. The city smithy is hungry and considers going Korean style on this dog, but the dog is saved when the town erupts with word that Rhaenyra is giving out cream pies down by the beach. Alicent and Helaena are rushed out of the cathedral by Secret Service, who does a bang-up job per usual, eventually getting the 2 queens chucked into the carriage like sides of beef. The Grand Maester is tending to Alicent's gash, the one on her arm, not the one that Kristen Cole tends to. Aegon is training for the Special Olympics as Larys comes in and says he's proud of Aegon, following in his club-shaped footsteps. But Aegon can't hear him through his new cranial butthole. Ulf is hesitant to answer Rhaenyra's job posting for Dragon Riders due to his long history of DUIs. But, ironically, alcohol and peer pressure have a way of changing people's minds. Queen Rhaenyra asks who's going to try out first, and Pablo Picasso steps up, and Rhaenyra heads to her box seats for a better view, where she says,
"Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make."
Back in King's Landing, the small council meeting is interrupted by Ulf flying drunk through the city, but he's just trying to show off for his buddies. Here, Tywin Lannister is trying to hire the Starbucks barista to come get the Velaryon blockade canceled. They agree to terms, and Tywin meets with their cancel crusader. Speaking of fetishes, Larys waddles into Aegon's room in high spirits, ready to whisk Aegon off on a romantic getaway to Afghanistan.
You want to take me to Essos to live with the goat fuckers?
Rhaena, a big Lord of the Rings fan, is on the Misty Mountain to Mordor walking tour.
This is the stream that Frodo, Samwise, and Gollum all peed into near the start of their journey.
In Driftmark, Rhaenyra meets with Corlys, where he's renamed his ship after his deceased wife, now calling it the Nut Gobbler. In Essos, Tywin Lannister is losing a mud wrestling match to an Algerian boxer.
This is where poor Frodo was about to freeze his balls off when good old Sam offered to warm them for him with his mouth.
She refuses and tells him she knows he attacked Aegon on purpose, prompting him to accuse her of treason. Well, isn't that the pot calling the kettle African American? She heads into the castle, and everyone at the fair stops because they're like, "Chick? Chick. Is that a chick? Chick. Chick. Dude. Chick."
Here we see the dragon Smaug, one famously obsessed with treasure.
Rhaenyra suggests that they go out to dinner, but neither can just pick a place, with each saying, "wherever," or "I don't care, it's up to you." And this goes on for 25 minutes. She says this is her final offer, and Alicent wipes off a booger and loses her train of thought as she wonders if Rhaenyra saw that, and she eventually just nods, having forgotten the question. Then we get the epic season wrap-up montage, complete with dudes getting dressed, Daeron and Tessarion in the distance and out of focus, a whole lot of marching, Tyland on a boat, Otto earning his street cred, and Aegon stuck in tight quarters with a guy with a foot fetish.
This concludes our walking tour. Please feel free to take a selfie with Smaug before returning your official Misty Mountain to Mordor headset.